Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to dive really quickly into these two pieces of legislation that are now law. But before I dive into it, please like and subscribe and let's discuss. So during the height of the pandemic, we had the moratorium in place. And as an investor and as a business person, I'm always aware of my surroundings, whether it be politics, whether it be legalese. It's important to have an understanding of the climate that is moving around you, right? Because you need to react accordingly. So on the forums, I've been following very closely how landlords and how the courts and how appointed officials are reacting to the landlords reacting to the eviction moratorium. And it's not good news. If you're a landlord, it is not good news. And if you're a tenant, it's also not good news for you. So let me explain. I'm going to run over the Pennsylvania new legislation first, and then I move over to the Maryland one, and I explain to you a little bit what is going on here. And those legislators know exactly what they're doing, and it's not going to work because they're not understanding how the industry of tenancy works. Or maybe they do understand, but they don't care that they're actually hurting the African American community. So let's go into PA. So the legislation is called Renters Access Act. I'm going to read to you what I have here, and then I'll give you my opinion as I go along. So Philadelphia City Council approved a legislation to restrict how landlords screen potential tenants and to inform renters about the criteria they use. Already that first sentence is giving me anxiety, all right? Because this is law. This is law, okay? So the city will prohibit landlords from adopting policies that deny potential tenants solely because of low credit score and past eviction or eviction filings. So in other words, this current law prevents landlords in PA to deny tenancy to someone who's been evicted, someone who didn't pay their rent, or someone who has had an eviction filing on their record. That is absolutely disaster. If you're a landlord in PA, just know that the next potential tenant you see, you have limited legal rights. It's a disaster. And I explain to you why in turn that's going to affect the tenants. Okay. Before accepting applications for rental housing, landlords will have to provide written tenant screening criteria that they use to evaluate all potential renters. So in other words, in PA, if you are a tenant and you apply for a application for a tenancy, the landlords have to send you in writing what they're going to be looking at. But those criteria cannot include your credit score, your evictions, and your failure to pay rents or any tenant-landlord related court filings. That is absolute disaster. So if you're a tenant, you might think, oh, this is great. This is great. They'll give me the tenancy. Let me explain to you why that's bad for you as well. Okay. So let's continue. They will have to tell rejected tenants in writing why they were denied. And tenants will have the chance to dispute incorrect information, explain mitigation factors, and show how their circumstances have changed. So in other words, if you are a landlord and because you're no longer able to deny someone tenancy based on their background check or credit score or anything that comes up in their court, I don't know what criteria you're going to use to vet your tenants. And even if you find that criteria, you have to tell them in writing why they failed. And they're not even disqualified yet. They can be like, oh, okay, well, I changed that. Let me explain to you what that's going to hurt you tenants. Because as a landlord, you're going to have to adjust to that. And that adjustment is you're going to have to raise the rent. if you have no more recourse, if you have no more ability to be able to properly vet your tenants, the only way you have is to increase the rent to the point where you eliminate any potential, right? You don't want anybody you don't want nobody in your property that didn't pay rent. So therefore, if the rent is $1,450, I'm bringing it up to $2,000. I'm going to go to my statistics. I'm going to look at the data of my market, and I'm going to cater to the higher end of the market. I'm going to price you out. And that in turn is going to create a domino effect, and that's going to hurt tenants who are good. Because when landlords see other landlords' rental market go up, the rental prices go up, they're going to raise their rent. And then they're going to be priced out. And so you might think that, oh, wait, this is a great idea. But no, it's not. Because as you're trying to force us landlords into taking in deadbeat tenants or taking in people, look, let me tell you something. Housing in this country is a service. It's a business. It's not a right. It's not us landlords that you should go and put your pitchfork on. Go to Congress. Hang them. You cannot tell me what to do with my property. It is not your property. It is not your house. Get that out of your head. It's my house, my property, and I'm letting you stay in there for a price. It's a service. You don't go to the doctor and bargain. This legislation is garbage. In PA, they use I guess a guy who was looking for housing and was denied because he had an eviction filing. So, quote, just last week, he found a place he loved, and the landlord said no after looking at his eviction record. Okay. There was only one filing against him. A default judgment entered while he was at the VA hospital in Coatesville, and he did not appear for the court hearing. So let me ask you something, government. So as a private citizen, it's my duty, I'm obliged to house someone that I don't feel like housing. No, that's why we pay taxes for. It's for you. That's your responsibility. And let me tell you something. I don't care if you serve for the army. Already this person, I would have denied him also. Do you know why? He didn't show up to court. All right, fine. He was busy. He still had an eviction filing. Oh my God, he's a poor VA. But you know what? It's not my job to go ahead and be a soothsayer. We live in a society, we live in a financial society, and it's your responsibility as a grown adult to follow and move about within the construct that were given to us. If I show up to the bank with a credit score of 300, do you think I'm going to get a loan? Oh, no, but the bank should give you a loan. No, it's not. And it's not the bank's responsibility to start to be like, oh, but they broke their leg. Life has to move on. And that's why it's so important for you to be illiterate, financially illiterate. And it's important for you to be due diligent because there is such a thing as no return. So you might not think your actions doesn't affect you in the long run, but they do. This person's action has resulted in him not finding housing. And it's not the landlord's responsibility. It's you, government. You are responsible for your citizens, not the guy next door. How infuriating. Let's go now to Maryland. Ugh. In Maryland, we have this bill called Just Cause Law. And long story short, right, it prevents you from evicting without a just cause. And the just cause is actually, you can't even use failure to pay rent. You can't use failure to pay rent. You can't use damages to the property. The only thing you can use for just cause is if you're taking the property off market, or if you're going to take it off the market for repairs, or if you're having a relative go live in the property. I mean, this is completely bonkers, right? These are the courts who are trying to force us landlords to take in the citizens that they don't want to take care of. And they want to get political browning points. Like, hey, look what I did. I made it so you can't be evicted. No, what you did, you made it so that rent now is rising because we as landlord are not going to sit idle and be force-fed deadbeats. And yes, what's going to happen is that they're going to be, and it's actually happening right now, the rent prices are going through the roof. My property was above market, like a little bit in market, a top end of $1,450. Now, market, it's at $2,000. It hasn't even been a year yet, and the market value of my property is $2,000 a month of rental. It's insane. You're squeezing landlords more and more out of them making a living. And you know what? When rent prices go up, they don't go down. They don't go down. The government is creating an eviction crisis, a homelessness crisis. And I feel so bad about that, because guess who's going to be hurting the most out of that? African Americans. We always do. We always suffer the crumbs. And because we always suffer the crumbs, if you're African American, if you're black out there, know your statistics. You understand? So you need to be doing even more work to make sure you don't fall into the statistics, because the odds are against you. Get it together. So this law here in Maryland, it's put in place to protect residents or tenants for being evicted when their lease expire, because landlords are not renewing their leases. And you know what's going to happen, Maryland? I'm a landlord. If you force me with this bullshit, I'm going to tell my mom's going to live in there and then have a vacant property than have a tenant in there. It's cheaper to have a vacant property than have someone that doesn't pay rent. This is annoying. Like, subscribe. Bye.